Self-care in Chinese medicine, basic instructions for health maintenance and disease prevention, but also more than that. Like we always say health maintenance, disease prevention. Everything you're hearing is talking big picture, talking about people's lives, your experience as a human being. We condense it and we teach it to you as technical information about disease prevention and health maintenance, but really it's even bigger than that, right? Following seasonal and calendrical cycles of environmental qi. The purpose and context of this presentation, right? It's intended to educate you generally about the sophisticated and potent guidance offered from the Chinese calendar regarding health maintenance and disease prevention again. However, there's a variety of information presented, not all of which will be relevant to all audiences. So I'm about to show you a lot of stuff. What makes sense, kind of take it in. If it doesn't, we'll talk about it again later, okay? The information presented will be repeated and summarized at various stages in the presentation, okay? So we break the year into 4 seasons, right? We could break it down more. We could break each season, actually there's 24 seasons in the Chinese calendar. What? Yes, there's 24. Every 2-week period has a specific quality and character that we can match diet, lifestyle, herbs, acupuncture points every 2-week period, right? So if we think about what that means, it's this profound invitation to kind of be constantly renewing our own experience in the context of what's happening in the environment. So if we follow this even just a little bit, right, then it's a whole new dimension of like, we talk about environmental studies and we talk about, kind of like being in harmony with nature. This is a whole other level of that, right? Also goes along with some things you might have heard, like feng shui, right? Feng shui, feng shui is talking about where you live in addition to the time that you're living. Right now we're mostly just talking time, but feng shui has plugs in here too, right? 4 seasons. 3 moons in each season, 6 chi nodes or 6 2-week periods of time. Each chi node is 15 days long. I could break down the math for you based on the Neijing, probably arguably like 5,000, maybe 10,000-year-old book. But we won't do that today. Whole system takes the pole star, the North Star, as the unmoving emperor around whom the procession of heaven is demonstrated, because we use the pole star or the North Star always to navigate. Right? All cultures do, actually. So this is kind of a thing that unifies humanity is the relevance of the pole star. So for the Chinese is really important. Before we keep going, we're just talking a little history. Okay, so if you're interested in classical references, a lot of what I'm talking about is contextualized in chapter 1 of the Neijing, where a famous ancient Chinese emperor is asking his advisor, how come we don't all live to be 100 years old anymore, and how come we can't produce for all 100 years? Because it seems like maybe the ancient people had those capacities. How come our capacities have diminished from ancient times? How come we have access to resources? We have technology. And even they're having this conversation 2,000 years ago. 2,000 years ago, they're saying, how come we've diminished from ancient times? Right? And the simple answer is, modern people don't follow nature. They're saying that even 2,000 years ago. Right? They're saying, even before, everyone's living to be 100, everyone's able to reproduce and have offspring up to 100. What's going wrong, right? So the result, so we've got this kind of downward evolutionary spiral contextualized in the Neijing, where human beings become weaker, more confused, have to depend more and more heavily on being clever, cunning, and aggressive, instead of wise, just, and calm, which nature teaches us, right? If we're left to our own devices, unfortunately. Right? However, don't despair. Don't despair. Remember to remain in the context of this cosmology, this narrative, which says time, heaven, chi is cyclical. So not only are the good old days behind us, they're ahead of us too. It's true. It's the truth, right? Actually, every human being has this capacity for renewal, right? And isn't that what we're talking about, is medicine, right? So if we take that as a dimension of our experience and a dimension of our being, actually we just invest in this a little bit, and the return on this investment's like so profound we can't even articulate it. Okay? So don't worry, okay? So again, 4 seasons. Neijing says there's 4 seasons. Each correspond with an element. Earth doesn't have a season of its own. There's 5 elements, but Earth has no season of its own. It's in between. Okay, so the 4 seasons also correspond with 4 animals, symbolically 4 directions, as well as the 4 phenomenon from the I Ching. So here are those correspondences. In Chinese medicine, we have 5 elements, right? We have wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. Well, springtime is associated with the wood element in the east direction, summertime with the fire in the south, autumn with the metal in the west, winter with the water in the north. Okay? We can talk a lot more theory about it. So springtime, let's start with the springtime. The correspondence is again wood element, wind type qi, east direction, the number 8, and the sour flavor, Okay? So in the Neijing chapter 2, the Si Qi Tiao Shen, how your spirit follows the 4 seasons. The 3 months of spring are a time of birth, generation, and renewal of yang resources. Right? So this is kind of a time where we want to gently be coaxing kind of the arrival of newness and freshness. We don't want to have too harsh attitudes. We don't want to be too intense at that time. We need to kind of let things open up slowly, gradually. It's like the morning, the early morning. It's really gentle, actually. It's really we're going to want to like a little baby. You kind of want to nurture it, right? Because then it'll grow. Nothing too harsh, right? Springtime is like this. So springtime, you want to go to bed when the sun goes down and wake up when it comes up, right? Because we're coming out of winter. Winter, you went to bed when the sun went down, and then you stay in bed late because it's all dark hours. Well, just the sun's coming back, so you still want to go to bed early, but then you start waking up earlier. It's a good thing. This will help us engage that freshness, that newness, that time in the morning where it's quiet and you can just kind of hear, almost like the birds waking up, right? This is springtime qi. This is spring qi, right? The practices to do. So you should do your exercise, your qigong, in the courtyard in the morning with your hair and clothes unbound. So kind of loose. You're trying to loosen yourself up in the springtime. And especially in the morning, it's a good time to exercise in the springtime. If we wake up early and we exercise in the morning in the springtime, it's actually going to naturally kind of tonify our yang qi. It's going to perk us up a bit. And then it will help us go to bed later. It'll help us fall asleep. Right? Help the new young yang survive. So try not to kill animals or insects. Try not in the spring. Because everything's a baby in the spring. All the insects, they're all tiny babies in the spring, right? The time for that harsh is autumn. Because it's coming anyway. Winter's coming, right? So springtime, don't do that. Don't kill things. Protect the weak. Give, don't take. Reward, don't punish. Not in the spring. Because we want this open, kind of generous. If you think about what the springtime is, it's like, where did all that life come from? Where does that green grass just shooting out of the mud? Why did it come out like that? Why? Well, there's one explanation that just says, yeah, sunlight, soil, okay. But that still doesn't answer why did that grass seed feel compelled to have a sprout shoot out. Because if I sprinkle some grass seeds on an asteroid, there's going to be no, but here, for some reason in this environment, every spring, the life comes out, right? Why? Why? It doesn't have to, actually, right? There's something else going on there. So we want to protect that, right? Disobeying the mandates of spring will harm the liver. Harming the liver will have more trouble with anger as an emotion. Okay? Generosity will feel weak to us. Right? But if our livers are real healthy and we kind of try and follow this spring mandate in the spring, then like generosity can become an open door, a resource for us actually. Because that's what's happening in nature, is a demonstration of generosity at that time. Right? Okay, if the springtime qi is not cultivated, summertime qi will not have the opportunity to flourish in abundancy. Right? Cold syndromes in the summer. There's all kinds of things that happen if we don't Probably also like excessive alcohols are not good in the spring especially. Okay. The treatment principle, so here's like technical information. It's a good time to harmonize your qi. So again, it's a good time to exercise, to move your qi. Sour foods, so springtime, apple cider vinegar in the morning is a good idea in the springtime especially, okay? We've got to get the gallbladder moving first thing in the morning. Got to get that bile squirting out to really kind of get our energy going first thing in the morning. And apple cider vinegar, a big shot of it, maybe with some honey if you tolerate it well in warm water. This is good. It'll also clear your vision up. Your eyes will be brighter if you take apple cider vinegar in the morning, okay? Acrid foods and flavor can help ease the liver qi stagnation. However, don't take too much. It'll deplete the yin and cause disharmony in the summer. So like a spicy food, garlic, that has a similar effect to help us relieve stagnant qi or move fluids in the body, but we don't want to use it too much at this time, okay? Sleep is crucial. Hun activity, which means like your dreaming state, your kind of like nighttime, the yin, it's like a yin dimension of your mind, which is different than your waking state, this yang dimension where we all think we know what's going on and I remember what he said and I know what he's talking about. In your dreams, that all becomes real soft. That's actually a time and a place for your qi to move really profoundly. It's in your dreams. So you want to try sleep really deep in the springtime, okay? Okay. Art appreciation too. So let's say maybe you don't have access, you don't have a lot of time to exercise, or following these instructions is really hard. Then make sure you like look at the sunset. Make sure you like listen to some music to move. The inside's got to move. Wintertime, everything kind of shuts down, compacts, concentrates inside. Spring, it's got to open back up. So even if we can't exercise, we can't wake up early, maybe we don't have apple cider vinegar and all these things, but we can listen to music, we can look at the sunset and sunrise, and these will also affect our liver qi. Springtime. I keep bringing up liver qi, and I know again, a lot of the things I'm saying is like, whoa, this sounds like Chinese medicine technical knowledge. It's okay. Okay. Art appreciation. Summertime. Okay. So summertime is a fire element, heat type qi, south direction, 7's the number, bitter's the flavor. Sour for spring, bitter for summer. Okay, so that's why it's like the good time to eat dandelion greens and all these greens start growing everywhere. Bitter flavor helps our body drain excessive heat and also drain all kinds of excessive fluids or anything that's accumulating and not moving in our body. Summertime's a time to kind of like get it all moving. This is the most yang time of year, right? The key word for the summer is growth, fullness of shape that's fed by qi. This is a time of growth, fullness, and ascendancy of yang. So this is a time when we're sleeping the less, is the summer, the least. Okay, we're going to bed late and we're waking up early. Remember, springtime was go to bed early, wake up early. Summertime is go to bed late, wake up early. Why? Is there no dark hours then? Actually, more activity in the summer's better. Springtime activity, kind of in the middle. Summer activity, the most. Autumn goes back to the middle. Winter, the least, right? You just follow the sun, right? If yang has trouble descending, sleep will naturally be lighter. So if you have a little insomnia in the summer, it's actually, we kind of expect it. Because that's a time when there's the most activity and the least darkness, right? So trouble sleeping in the summer is kind of like, we're not going to call that like chronic, terrible insomnia, but maybe it's harder to fall asleep. It's kind of normal. Winter should be the opposite. Winter should be hard to wake up. That's normal. Okay? Don't avoid sweating in the summer. This is important. Wintertime, you avoid sweating as much as you can, but summertime, don't avoid it. You need to sweat a little during the summer. Okay? During the day, that sweat is a way out for heat toxins lodged in your blood. Okay, you should sweat a little in the summer. Important to eat well throughout the day, support the qi, blood, jinya, body fluids, consumed by activity. Okay, disobeying this mandate cause deficiency in the autumn. All right. Bitter foods, again, more activity. In the evening, really let it all go, meaning sink into the transition from activity to rest. The fullness of yang qi has to be matched by descent, okay? Autumn. Okay, autumn's the opposite. So we went from the yang's opening up to the yang's totally full. Now the yang's turning back in. Okay, turning back in. So the key word is storing, storage. So it's okay if we eat more in the autumn time and then we do less. It's actually an okay thing. It's a good idea. Summer is the opposite. Lots of activity. But maybe we didn't get to eat enough, so we lost some weight. Autumn, we're going to gain it back a little bit. It's a good thing. Okay, acrid foods at this time of year is the most helpful. So acrid for autumn, bitter for summer, sour for spring. Okay, the acrid's going to drive off the cold wind that comes with autumn. Okay, so we use like garlic, spicy food, ginger, because when the weather turns, it gets cold outside. You want to catch a cold, right? So acrid foods are helpful, but you don't want to overuse them. That'll cause dryness. Spend the evenings in reflection. Okay, just like I said in the springtime, the morning is the most important and potent time. 5 more minutes? Yes, okay. Morning is the most important time in the spring. In the autumn, it's the evening. Just like we want to wake up early in the spring to catch that spring fresh chi, the special chi in the autumn is in the evening as everything's like sunset. That's autumn chi, is reflecting and kind of like breathing out and letting go and going, ah. And it's just cool and crisp outside, okay? It's real healthy for our lung to do that. Spend the evenings in reflection. Dreams become deeper. Okay, so your dream life starts to get a little more vivid maybe in the autumn time as the yin becomes more full. We can go deeper into it. Right? It's a time to think about the whole previous part of the year. If there's parts that you aren't proud of, this is the time to repent. If it's parts that you really need to think deeply about, it's the time to reflect and be honest with yourself about honesty in the autumn time. Be honest. Springtime, imagination. Summertime, go, go, go. Autumn time, let's be honest. Draw it back in. Right? If there's some things we've been doing we need to stop or change, it's time to admit it. In the autumn, so the winter, we don't have a bunch of things that are drawing resources unnecessarily, because winter, we can't hack that. It's got to be kind of full stop in winter. Take a deep, long, slow breath. Sighing and groaning's okay in autumn, because we need that. We need to do that sometimes to let our chi sink. Okay, autumn time we're doing that. Soup in the autumn especially. Okay, every day, autumn especially. Constipation might be on the mild side in the autumn. Why? Because it gets more dry. So a little bit of constipation, if we start to tend that way, it could be normal. Insomnia is a bad sign in the autumn because, again, we want to go with the descending of the yang qi. So someone who can't descend, that will show up in the autumn. Sleepiness on the mild side is okay. Okay, but don't descend the yang too much, especially for old people. So be careful not to sedate in the autumn time. Okay, so winter time. The yang is hidden. So the key word is hiding. In winter, we want all our resources very carefully hidden inside. Nothing leaking and nothing overspending or overdrawing. Okay, so salty foods actually help us. And this is why preserved foods, cured foods made throughout the year, then in the winter we can eat that. And the salt actually will hold water in our body. Now, I don't mean like go nuts on potato chips, not what I'm talking about. I'm talking like pickles. I'm talking about the kind of cured, prepared foods that would naturally be made throughout the year for storage that would then become available in winter as the food stuff, right? So kind of like, salty as a flavor. It's kind of okay in the winter. It will help fluids accumulate inside, which is what we want in the winter. Opposite of summer, right? So also wintertime, limit your sweating or eliminate sweating. We really don't want any fluids leaking in the winter because all the fluid's going to help carry nutrition and resources deep into our organs. Okay? Strictly avoid the penetrating cold. When it gets cold and windy in the winter, stay out of it. The yang will be damaged or roused to action. And in either case, in winter, that shouldn't happen. We don't want it damaged or active. Really, we want it hiding. Okay? Warm foods are good. Hot is helpful, but shouldn't be used aggressively, right? Hot qi has really strong effects. Okay, so in review, Springtime, eat breakfast early, hot, preferably. Apple cider vinegar, protein, fat are important to stimulate the gallbladder. Summertime, it's okay to eat later in the evening because the sun is out later. I mean, basically, again, if you understand the principle of following the environment outside and not the environment like the actual resources in the environment, right? The yang qi, the weather patterns, the sun, the moon. If you can tap into that, then this is all just extrapolating what you would already find to be true, right? Summertime, it's okay to eat later in the evening because the sun is out later. However, never eat heavy late. Never. Not in any season. Never eat heavy late. But you can eat a little bit later in the summer. Fermented vegetables are always the best. Soup is especially helpful to prevent damp heat from accumulating in the summer. Damp heat means like infections. Fall time is good to begin eating rich and nourishing foods to enhance storage of essence. So more rich foods, more nourishing foods, higher caloric content will switch to in the fall. Okay, begin eating less late at night to prevent disturbing sleep patterns. Okay, winter, keep the metabolism and dietary requirements rather minimal at this time, right? So again, we don't want to ramp the metabolism up in the winter. We want it kind of that fire burning low. Just keep the embers and the coals burning, right? Fermented and stored foods are excellent. Okay, sleeping, again, spring, wake up early, go to bed early. Do not eat late. Summer, wake up early, go to bed late. You can eat a little later. Fall, wake up late, go to bed late. Winter, wake up late, go to bed early, right? And again, it's kind of sounds confusing, but if you thought about it and plotted it out, it makes sense, right? The year just goes like this. All I'm talking about is the year looks like this, and we're just going like, right? It's that simple. Left and right, up and down, yin and yang. Okay. Exercise, same thing. Spring, we want to mobilize fluids, but keep everything moderate. Light sweating's okay, but no exposure to cold. Summer, exercise is enhanced by warm weather, so we can exercise more, we can sweat more. Heavy training. Train endurance, long sessions, multiple times a day. Summertime, it's okay. Okay. Fall time, we want exercise to take on a routine and kind of rather moderate quality. Okay, good to pare the regimen down to preserving what's necessary. Pick your favorite 2 or 3 forms, repeat them several times, but that's it. Okay, so Qigong is good in the fall too. Winter, exercise barely looks like exercise, sorry. So in the winter time, you just do like standing Qigong. Or even just contemplate and try and work on your memory. You don't want to do too much with your body. Unless you have a really excessive constitution. You just need to move stuff all the time. Meditation and still forms of martial cultivation are enhanced in the winter. No sweating, okay? And to review like the kind of spirit qualities of the seasons, right? Spring should be fresh, benevolent, naive, and clear, okay? Does it make sense how those 4 words kind of go together, right? Fresh, benevolent, naive, and clear. Springtime, new. Summer, active, energized, accomplished, and bright. Fall, reflective, appreciative, evaluative, and critical. Winter, descended, dissolved, soft, and empty. Okay, 4 seasons. How to follow them. It's really brief. There's so much more here, right? This is a sampler. Thanks, everybody. Thank you. So much more, right? I'm so glad to see you all here. Okay.
Thank you very much.